Sounds of the Bahamas. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
The following portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Keishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news tonight, Prime Minister Perry Christie has outlined a tripartite agreement which is expected to revitalize Grand Bahama's ailing economy. The nation's leader, speaking at a special press conference at the Grand Lucayan Resort yesterday, said his government is giving Grand Bahama top priority, and this bold initiative will provide much-needed jobs, bolster the tourism industry, and turn the overall economy around. Natalie Martinborough has the story.
Prime Minister the Right Honourable Perry Christie says his government was engaged in discussions with Hutchison Port Holdings within the early weeks of coming to office, and those discussions have led to the signing of a letter of intent and a partnership between the government, Hutchison and Sunwing Travel and Tours out of Canada. One significant component of the agreement is the reopening of the Reef Village in Lucaia.
Hutchison will renovate and reopen the 503-room Reef Village, which will be leased and operated as an all-inclusive resort by Blue Diamonds Hotels and Resorts, an affiliate of the Sunwing Travel Group, a chain with a strong marketing clout, which today operates successfully in Cancun, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and Cuba.
The reopening of the Reef Village, according to the Prime Minister, will produce hundreds of construction jobs and 1,000 permanent jobs. Additionally, the Prime Minister says Sunwing Travel and Tours will provide some much-needed airlift.
Sunwing, which owns and operates a fleet of 737-800 aircrafts, will operate flights from several cities in Canada to Freeport. In addition to the Reef Village and the Grand Lucayan, they will market other participating hotels in Grand Bahama. Sunwing, through its affiliate Vacation Express USA Corporation, will work with the Ministry of Tourism and the Grand Bahama Island Promotion Board, as well as participating hotels, to restructure, support, and turn the current underperforming contracted summer airlift program from multiple USA cities to Freeport into a success.
The Prime Minister says this will relieve the government of current heavy financial liabilities. But the nation leader says airlift by Sunwing Travel and Tours may not be limited to Canada and North America.
Sunwing has agreed to facilitate and encourage its beneficial shareholder, TUI Travel, the world's largest travel company based in Europe, to consider proposals for the inclusion of Grand Bahama in TUI Travel's destinations, including flights which operate from Europe into Orlando, and to explore direct flights from Europe to Freeport.
The Prime Minister says the government will provide financial support to Hutchison and Sunwing Travel and Tours, which will also benefit other hotels, the tourism sector, and the Grand Bahama economy. Natalie Martinborough, ZNS Network News.
The Prime Minister also announced yesterday that a new operator will take over the running of the Treasure Bay Casino in Lucaia, and the casino will be complemented by 2 specialty restaurants and a wedding center. Executives of the Bahamas Hotel Managerial Association are supporting the government's deal with Hutchison Whampoa Limited to revitalize the Reef Village in Grand Bahama. The BHMA represents that hotel's nearly 15 managerial workers. President Obi Ferguson sees the deal as a positive move, as it's expected to create 1,000 jobs.
The government ought to be given credit, in my view, to take 1,000 people off the street in Grand Bahama. They had indicated to me that they were doing that. I am pleased, and I'm certain that they will be governed by the rules and regulations of Bahamas, and any existing agreement that's in place that is legally binding, I am certain that they will vote. So I think it's good. It's a good sign. I want more thousands to be bouncing all over the place. So I had nothing negative to say about that because it's employment.
Well, furthermore, Ferguson says it doesn't matter whether those jobs are permanent or part-time.
If they're not employed, they come to the house and they come to my house. So I don't care how we do it, as long as we don't violate the laws. To violate the laws is a different issue. But trade union leaders would sit down and negotiate deals. You cut deals, economic situation comes, you got to find a way to deal with it. You can't just say, I'm not going to do anything.
South Beach MP and Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Cleola Hamilton, has found herself in the middle of a controversy after it was revealed that she was still president of the Bahamas Nurses Union, something former Labor Minister Dion Folks and president of the Bahamas Public Service Union, John Pinder, have both called a clear conflict of interest. However, our Charisma Robinson tells us that members of the Trade Union Congress and Nurses Union are dismissing this issue and standing behind the BNU president.
Even though Prime Minister Perry Christie has said that he sees no conflict of interest in Hamilton's position as she's not a member of the cabinet, claims of a conflict of interest continue. But TUC President Obie Ferguson today is seeking to put a stop to it. He used his position on the Bahamas Electricity Corporation's board to make this point.
I serve on BEC board. Well, that's a conflict for her. You got to be a conflict for me. Some of my colleagues, a bunch of us serve on these boards. Are you saying to me, if I sit on BEC board and there's a matter that creates a situation of conflict, I will not remove myself? Is that what you suggested? That's absolute hogwash.
Ferguson went on pointing out a number of Bahamians who have held positions in government while at the same time serving as union leaders.
Ms. Hamilton is not a minister in the government. I read all of the history books on surrender. And I haven't heard one member of parliament outside of the Progressive Liberal Party at the time who had difficulty with surrender being president of the then TUC, member of parliament, and a minister in the government of the Progressive Liberal Party. No one from opposition or otherwise to talk about conflict. Where is the conflict? Your job is to represent workers.
From the BNU's perspective, Vice President Jana Kalfani says not one of the union's 2,000+ members have taken an issue with Ms. Hamilton.
The nurses who are members of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, we decide our own fate. This would be the second contract we will be signing in the history of the Bahamas as it pertains to nursing. And she was there for the first. We are at the ending part of the second one. And the members and the executives requested from her to stay on.
The Bahamas Nurses Union will most likely have elections early next year. In the meantime, the Vice President says Ms. Hamilton will remain the president as she has not breached the union's constitution. Charisma Robinson, ZNS News Network.
Well, not everyone agrees with that position. Janaea Noel Ferguson tells us why another group says the conflict of interest is clear.
You cannot serve two masters. You must have an allegiance to one or the other.
National Congress of Trade Union President, along with other union leaders, say they believe that after 5 months in office, South Beach MP Cleola Hamilton should step down from her Nurses Union President post. Trinidad and Tobago Senator James Lambert, who is a union leader, attending the CPSA executive meeting, says he's baffled that Hamilton refuses to give up this post.
It is a conflict of interest if you are an elected member and want to serve as president or any position in the trade union, because the people you have to negotiate and formulate the policies as it relates to the government, you are part thereof.
Although he holds a government post as senator, Lambert says it's an appointed post, not an elected one as Hamilton holds.
I am not aware that any elected member of government in any of the Caribbean country could remain as a member of any trade union.
Isaac Dotson shared similar views on the matter.
At some point, there is going to be a conflict of interest in reference to information, in reference to her role as a member of parliament, her allegiance to her party versus her allegiance to her members, and the wider picture of the trade union movement. So I think it would be in the best interest that Ms. Hamilton resigns.
Meanwhile, Bahamas Public Service Union President John Pinder believes the government is happy that Hamilton decided to stay on, as it could mean a win-win situation for the government.
Any problem with the nations now, they can't really open their mouth because their president is a member of parliament for the government and a parliamentary secretary. And so any problem, they'll have to kind of not be able to force the government hands because they would be going against their president. And so I believe it's good. It's a win-win for the Prime Minister if she remains as president. That's one group of civil servants he wouldn't have to worry about.
The Prime Minister of the country of the Bahamas should realize that there is a conflict of interest and immediately says to her she has to vacate. Otherwise, if she chooses to remain as a trade unionist, she should give up the position of which she was elected as a member of parliament.
According to reports, Hamilton will remain as the union's president until the union's next election. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS News Network.
Well, still to come in the Bahamas tonight, police are called to this scene today. We'll tell you why coming up.